New Class 5A rankings are here. We had a ton of movement this week in Class 5A, a ton of huge games, a ton of massive, group stage contests, and really some RPI shifting final scores this week. And we've got more coming up. Tons of huge matchups still on the horizon with only 3 weeks left in the regular season. It's crazy to say, but we are well across halfway through the regular season, and we're nearing the postseason each week, it feels like. But without further ado, let's get into your top 16, starting with 16 through 11, where we've got Valley. They lost to Hawkeyes Northwest 31-28. Really tough loss for them. They moved down 2 spots, and they hold on to the final spot in our poll. At number 15, Urbandale. They're 4-2. They beat Des Moines East 50-0. 4-2 again for the Jayhawks, and they've just kind of been sitting towards the bottom of this top 16 for most of the year. At number 14, Iowa City High. They get back to 500. They beat Davenport Central, blanked them actually, 61-0. They sit at number 14 right now. Linn-Mar, they hold down their number 13 spot. They are also back to 500. They get a nice win over Muscatine, 35-9. And at number 12, Johnston, they're also 500. Lost to Southeast Polk, 38-35. I think they gave Southeast Polk a lot closer of a contest than many thought. So shout out to the Dragons. Still a really tough team, and going to be a tough out no matter who they play and who they've got. So kudos to Johnston for really giving Southeast Polk a run for their money. At number 11, Cedar Falls, they also dropped back down to 3-3 and 500. They lost to Pleasant Valley 31-28 in a really tight contest. Cedar Falls slips just outside of our top 10. Hopping into our top 10, though, starting with Prairie. They have losses to Southeast Polk, Pleasant Valley, and Ankeny. They are 3-3. They've got wins over Cedar Falls, and they finished the year with Jefferson, Bettendorf, and Iowa City West. Again, that Bettendorf is one the Bettendorf one is a game you can kind of circle, but really a tough loss to Ankeny, where I know they had a shot to win at the end. They were inside the 10 and just could not quite get it done for their homecoming game, but nevertheless, still a really good team with Casey Kelly and company. Excuse me. At number 9, Hawkeyes. They are 5-1. Their lone loss to number 8, Hawkeyes Northwest. They've got wins over Valley and Johnston, and they've got a huge one this week in Southeast Polk. Southeast Polk actually goes to their place. So Hawkeyes 5-1, Southeast Polk 6-0. Might be the biggest game in Class 5A this week over at Hawkeyes. At number 8, Hawkeyes Northwest. They've losses to Dowling and Johnston. They're 4-2. They also have wins over Hawkeyes and Valley. They finished the year with Ottumwa, Centennial, and Ames. That Centennial game is going to be a massive one for the RPI. You can circle that one. That one is next week. Ankeny Centennial, speaking of them, they are at number 7. They moved down 1 spot after a really tough loss to Dowling. Had them on the ropes. Had Southeast Polk on the ropes as well. So they played the 2 top teams really tight. Just a few plays, that can shift either way. They've also got that loss to Ankeny. They finished the year with Roosevelt, Northwest, and Urbandale. So still a chance to get some quality wins for the Jags. Again, they're at 3-3 and just about pulled off a big one last week. At number 6, Ankeny, the biggest risers. People were calling for them to jump up more. I know all the burners on our Instagram account were honest about that. 2 losses to number 1 and number 2 in Class 5A. They have wins over number 7, number 12, and number 10. And they've got Liberty, Valley, and Washington left to go. Those are 3 games that they'd be picked to win in. So Ankeny really in control of their own destiny at this point at 4-2 and well on their way to a really good spot in the RPI and a home playoff game to start the postseason. Getting into our top 5, though, no changes in the teams, but we do have changes in where they are at. At number 5 is Bettendorf. They get their first loss in the year. Lost to Kennedy, and Kennedy really kind of put it to them. But still, great year to this point for the Bulldogs. They got wins over Urbandale, Linn-Mar, and PV, and they finished the year with Davenport Central, Prairie, and City High. So 2 of the 3 games left on their schedule are ranked teams, and they've still got some massive RPI implications in those. At number 4, the team they beat probably could have been the team of the week again, but we went another direction. They've got Kennedy has losses to number 2 and number 3 to start the year. Since then, though, they've been on a tear. They beat Linn-Mar, City High, and Bettendorf. And they finished the year with Hempstead, Cedar Falls, and North. So Kennedy well on their way to a really solid year and a home playoff game if all things go according to plan. But really a team out east that no one is talking about. So I will go ahead and do that. Pleasant Valley, 5-1. They lost to number 5 Bettendorf to start the year, but ever since then they've beaten Kennedy, Prairie, Cedar Falls, and they still got a game against Linmar coming up. So PV, a team that's going to want to run the ball. They don't throw the ball much. They want to keep it on the ground. They want to control the clock, and that's what they do, and they do it well. So they are the team just behind Dowling and Southeast Polk this week. And I think if you had to pick one, I think this is the team out east that is the best one at this point in the year. Them and Kennedy are the two front runners pretty clearly. But at number 2, Dowling Catholic, they snuck by Centennial, found a way to get it done, which is what good teams do. They've got wins against Kennedy, Valley, Ankeny, Northwest, and Centennial. They got, that's, I believe, 5 wins over ranked teams that to this point in the year. They are 6-0, and they've still got some big ones. Urbandale, they've got the massive one next week against Southeast Polk, and they got Sioux City North to end it. So you can circle your calendars next Friday night, Dowling and Southeast Polk. Speaking of the Rams, they've got wins over Valley, Ankeny, Prairie, Centennial, and Johnson. Again, 2 top teams in our Class 5A poll have 5 wins over ranked opponents, which is very impressive. And Southeast Polk Road does not get any easier. They've still got Hawkeyes, Dowling, and then they end the year with Des Moines Lincoln. So 2 of their 3 games are really, really high caliber games. Southeast Polk and the Rams got 2 tests still yet before the postseason, but they've looked like the number 1 team to this point, and it's impossible to take them out. Again, wire to wire. Number 1 for Southeast Polk, no surprise here. And that's all I've got for Class 5A. Again, be sure to subscribe to IA Sports on YouTube if you're not already, and leave a comment letting us know what you think. Class 5A fans, I will catch you guys next week.